Hi, Bill Ham here with realestateraw.com. Should you be investing in real estate? Should you be investing in real estate now? This video is going to answer some of those questions for us, so let's take a look at that. All right, should you get started investing in real estate? Yes, but let me actually explain why. All right, so first of all, what does it take to get started? We're going to kind of talk about that. How much money do you need to get started? And is now the right time to actually get started? All right, question number one, what does it take to get started? The desire to learn and the desire for freedom and financial freedom at the end of your road. That's what we're actually after, is the creation of wealth. So if you have the desire to get out and you have the desire to learn, and that's a big one. If you can learn and educate yourself, then you are cut out for the business. It does not take a bunch of money. I'm not saying no money, but it doesn't necessarily take a bunch of money, and it doesn't necessarily take a bunch of your money. I'll show you a few different ways that we can deal with that. And then, is now the right time? Absolutely. There's only one time that was better to actually get started in real estate. That was yesterday. Seeing as how that's already gone, let's get started today. All right, so should you get started investing in real estate? Step number one is, how much money do you need to make a month, okay? So when we're figuring out, is it right for us and how do we get started? Step one, I want you to decide how much money you need to make in a month from passive revenue. Now, when I'm asking this question, I'm not saying to be rich, Vegas and Ferraris and all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, what does it take for you to cover your living expenses, or what kind of passive revenue number would make a difference in your life if you had that coming in? All right, what I have found is that the average number when I ask this question is $10,000 or some increment of $10,000. So usually when I say, what's your magic number for cash flow? 10 grand or maybe 20 or 30, something like that, but an increment of $10,000, which is convenient because it makes math a little bit easier. All right, so if we are looking for $10,000 a month in passive revenue, it's very simple. All you have to do is step number two, come up with $1.5 million. Okay, so now that we have $1.5 million, step number three, just invest $1.5 million in real estate, and poof, you'll get your $10,000 a month income. Thanks for watching, and this has been a great video. No, just kidding. If you don't actually have $1.5 million to invest in real estate, then your goal is actually not cash flow. It's the equity that creates cash flow. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, why $1.5 million? What did I just make up this number here? Where did we get this $1.5 million from? Well, what I want to show you is the math here. So if your monthly revenue number is $10,000 a month, what that really means is $1.5 million in equity producing an 8% cash on cash return, and that equals the $10,000. Let me show you. So if we have $1,500,000, all right, $1,500,000, and we put this into real estate, and we're getting an 8% cash on cash return. So you invested $1.5 million, and you're getting an 8% return on this $1.5 million. That equals, all right, well, equals $120,000 a year. Okay, so 8% of $1.5 million is $120,000. $120,000 divided by 12, all right, equals the $10,000 a month that we're after. Okay, so this is your basic math breakdown. If your goal is 10 grand a month, then you need $1.5 million in equity producing an 8% cash on cash return. That equals 120 grand a year divided by our 12 months. There is your $10,000 a month, and that is how you're going to go out and create $10,000 a month in passive revenue. Okay, so if your goal is the $10,000 a month, income, passive revenue, and you don't have $1.5 million, then you have a new goal, and that is to go out and create $1.5 million, right? So now you understand that equity equals cash flow, okay? So if your end goal is to get cash flow, your real goal is to have the equity that produces the cash flow, all right? And so that's why I say you need $1.5 million in equity. If you already own $1.5 million, not a problem. Just write a check, invest it, and you'll get passive revenue. If you don't have the $1.5 million, then your business model is now to create $1.5 million so that you ultimately get the cash flow. No equity, no cash flow. All right, we have to understand that cash flow comes from equity. That's a very important concept. It's kind of a chicken or the egg. A lot of people don't really understand where that comes from. All right, so this is what I call the conveyor belt theory of real estate, and this is how we're gonna get the $1.5 million that we need to invest in real estate, or that will create that $10,000 a month passive revenue. All right, so this is a model here that I created to kind of explain how a real estate business actually works. So this is our conveyor belt here, and it's just gonna be like a normal conveyor belt in a factory. But we're gonna assume our conveyor belt is 5 years long, okay? Why 5 years? Because that's the average hold time when investing in real estate for cash flow. Now, I'm not talking about fixing and flipping or turning properties quickly. I'm talking about hold and operate for a length of time. Average is about 5 years. So we need to keep in mind that time moves in this direction, our operations move in this direction, and cash flow is represented in this 5-year window moving to the right. All right, so the deal here is year 1, we closed our first deal. We're putting our first property onto the conveyor belt. That's year number 1, we've closed our deal. All of a sudden we move along. Year number 2, we've added our second property to the conveyor belt. So we're moving along here. Then year number 3, we've got our third property. Maybe we're going a little bit bigger now. Maybe we're moving into slightly larger properties, maybe some small commercial properties. Again, remember, cash flow is moving along the conveyor belt this way. Cash flow and time move this way. So we're operating, we're cash flowing, and we're closing. This is starting to look like a real business, a real estate portfolio. Okay, year number 4, all of a sudden, maybe we've moved into larger buildings now. So you notice the concept here is that each year or each segment of time, we're adding more real estate, we're adding, and these assets are moving along as we're cash flowing and operating. All right, so this is how we're gonna start building. Now we've moved all the way to year number 5. And you can see here that in year number 5, our first property is coming off the conveyor belt. This is gonna represent a liquidity event, some sort of sale or possibly a refinance, but some sort of liquidity. You're gonna cash out this property and take that revenue and roll it around to the front of the conveyor belt. And we're gonna add that profit to this deal here. And so the idea is now, after the 5 years, we're not only closing one, we're selling or refinancing one. And from evermore out, every year, you're gonna add one and sell or refinance one. Add one and sell and refinance one. We're making money by the closing. You may get money at closing. You might, if you're doing a syndicated deal, perhaps you're getting like an acquisition fee, something like that. You're moving along, you're getting cash flow. You're realizing the equity at the end of the deal as you're having that cash flow event or the property come off. We're taking that money, rolling it back around, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So this is how we actually build a real estate business, and it is not passive. So what I need everybody to understand is that the creation of passive revenue is not from passive activity. Okay, so building your business and building your portfolio is going to be very active. You know, one of the first things that I see, mistakes that I see people make and sort of complaints that I see people make is they say, well, gosh, Bill, I want to go out and build a real estate business, but I don't want to be transaction based. I don't want this to be a job. You know, I don't want to be chasing deals. Well, let me tell you something. If you've learned how to build a real estate portfolio without chasing a few deals and without doing a few closings, you let me know how that's done, and I'm going to take your course next, because let me tell you right now, it doesn't happen that way, right? You're going to be transaction-based. You're going to chase some deals in the beginning. The idea is that you're really building a business that ultimately starts to create real wealth or legacy wealth. This is legacy wealth, building a business. We don't want to leave our family and our future generations real estate. I know everybody likes to talk about that. Oh, I want to set my family up so that they don't have to build a business. That's a mistake, because just think about it from this point of view. If you were to buy this building today and leave it to your grandkids 30 years from now, that building's probably going to be pretty old. You might be making your grandkids slumlords, right? So we don't want to do that. So you always want to be turning the portfolio, always getting rid of the older buildings, always getting rid of the lesser assets, cashing out that equity, moving into the front, and buying higher, better, and newer properties as you move forward. And over time, you're going to make a lot of your money from the liquidity here, the sale, and the equity realization. You're going to be making money from cash flow across the top. You're taking that money, you're reinvesting into the front deal. That's what we call a 1031 exchange. You're reinvesting, and over time, you're going to need less partners, you're going to need less investors, and your wealth is going to really jump up. This is how we create the $1.5 million in equity that we will ultimately own inside these buildings that will generate that $10,000 a month cash flow. So if you're after cash flow, then you need to be working on the conveyor belt theory here. You need to be getting out and building your portfolio. Yes, it's going to take some time. It's not something you're going to do overnight. It's not something you're going to do in 1 to 2 years. It's going to take you a little while to build that portfolio. And ultimately it looks like this. So you have your conveyor belt theory, and you're moving your things along. You got your cash flow here, and it's coming back around, and you just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. This is how we actually go out and build a real estate business. Let me tell you, it doesn't take as much effort as you think. It doesn't take as much money as you think. It does take effort. It does take money. I'm not saying this is no money down, but what I'm saying is this can be done. All you need is an education. All you need is to get started right now. And you too can come out here and build a real estate portfolio. So again, this website, Real Estate Raw, come check us out. We have other courses about getting started in real estate. I teach you how to buy real estate with private money using syndications. I also teach how to use LP, limited partner money, how to syndicate, and how to analyze deals, as well as a bunch of other information on the site. So if you're wondering, is now the time to get started? The answer is yes. If you are wondering, can you get started? The answer is yes. All you need is the desire and the will to do it, the why, and the education. The why, that's on you. The education, that's on me. Bill Ham, check me out, realestateraw.com.